This is a real one, straight from the heart. Another one, DJ Brown K, Mr. Spaceman.
Cornell.
Greetings.
Nkechi, come make we gun body. I don't dey dread this.
Greetings and welcome to Out of Noise with your hosts Stella B
And Nat Nye.
This is the podcast where we bring our peace
To the mic.
and we welcome you back frequently to tune into our frequency. So we're going to be discussing trending subjects and what's been happening in the week, Nat Nye.
Well, this week has been a very special week in terms of African icons. It seems, it's a line of African icons that line up this week. So you have the first one is Martin Luther King. His birthday is on the 15th of January, and his day of recognition is Martin Luther King Day. Falls on the Monday, so that happened to be the 16th, I believe, because we are now Wednesday, the 16th. We recognize Martin Luther King for all the work that he did to improve the lives of Africans in America, but also set an example of how human beings should behave and operate. We did want to mention quickly that there was a statue revealed of him hugging his wife, the also great Coretta Scott King, and we just took it as a slight, didn't we?
So yeah, there's a few people that I've actually brought this to light because when it was unveiled, it was the Embrace. It's called the Embrace as well, and it's literally a cast of a famous picture of Martin Luther King and his wife embracing. And I need to look more into the actual artist who's done this and their thought process in doing this. But the issue has been that people are asking, why didn't they just do a full portrait of both Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King as well? Like, why didn't they just have the whole image of them rather than just their arms, essentially? And a lot of people that are racists have been saying lewd comments in regards to what it looks like. So it's caused offense for the community, to say the least. And I I'm an artist, so there's artistic license and there's all that kind of understanding that people's not everyone's going to understand the intentions of an artist. So it's important for me to actually understand who the artist is and what their intentions were, because obviously an embrace is symbolic of love and is symbolic of connection and encompasses the thought of nurturing and all those kind of positive things. So an embrace is not a bad thing. However, understanding the symbology of statues and what they mean to this society, and then the esoteric meaning of having a statue, which kind of basically it kind of solidifies a memory, a time. It's like a time capsule of a period that is no longer. So you kind of immortalize a memory of a person or a movement. In this case, with Martin Luther King, it was a movement of the civil rights movement in America. So that's what all the statues in his name will represent that time. And so, is it a bit gappy to have just the arms there? Like, is it like showing that? Is it symbolic of? I begin to question of like the missing parts of our history and how they, keep us in the kind of dark when it comes to our history and the full knowledge of ourselves, especially when they consistently change stories and narratives when they get the opportunity to. They change the nature of how the future generations view our heroes specifically.
Excellent points, Stella B, and I agree wholeheartedly. For me, when you're honouring anybody or a great in this case, but when you're honouring somebody, the most critical part of their identity is their face. So you've basically the artist and whoever directed the artist to produce this work has made Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King both faceless, and as you're saying, that leaves it wide open for a regurgitation of history later along down the line, especially if younger people who have not heard of Martin Luther King and Coretta Scott King go to that statue. They, on the surface of it, will not have an identity of what he actually will not have a clue of what he actually looks like. They'll have to be shown an image of what he looks like beforehand to have an understanding of what he looks like. But you're just seeing arms. You're seeing arms embrace. And when you see that photo of the two of them, there's a magic in their eyes. There's a magic in their smiles. It's something that connects with your heart. To omit that is just another slight from the way I'm taking it. There's no reason or need to omit that and say you're honouring Martin Luther King. If you're going to have that artistic license, do it to George Washington or something like that. Do it to Abraham Lincoln. Do it to any of those type of people. Don't do it to Martin Luther King. We haven't got enough statues of African people in this world as it stands now. The very few that we do have need to be honoured fully, with full bodies, not half. And we saw something. This reminded me real quick, just to say, when we were in Ghana and we saw Kwame Nkrumah, and it was upsetting to see that he wasn't in his full state. The statue was wrecked, and it was kept that way. It's like, no, restore it properly.
It was disgusting. The head is missing from that statue, and next to the body is like, I mean, come on, that is a real it's more than a slight. That is an attack. So that definitely needs to be rectified, and I don't know how we go about doing that, but that's got to be changed, for all that means. So next subject we want to talk about.
Next great birthday is the one of Muhammad Ali, the greatest, the GOAT. I mean, the superlatives to say upon Muhammad Ali is endless. Muhammad Ali showed what it meant to have confidence as an African in this world, and how critical confidence actually is in achieving your goals. You have to believe in yourself first and foremost, and we have to believe in ourselves as a people to achieve the liberation, to achieve self-sufficiency, self-determination. That all will start from that unparalleled levels of confidence, seeing your vision as true reality. And that's what Muhammad Ali showed in a time where you can say that racism was more in your face. Although right now it is really in our face, to be honest, it is really in our face. The difference is now we haven't really got that equivalent on that mainstream scale of Muhammad Ali. And, it's hard to match that. There's only one. So nevertheless, he was a great inspiration to generations.
A great inspiration. Absolutely love and adore the man. Like watching old films, old clips of him that come up on the internet is just like you can spend a whole day just doing that. He was so beautiful in the way he articulated himself, his poetry, and like you said, that confidence in knowing himself, knowing ourselves. It's another hark onto that Garvey movement of really embracing yourself as an African and as a person who has a rich history. Just knowing himself and just passing that message through. So absolutely adore him.
the poetry and the articulation as well is really what we're talking about, because boxing was a means for him to use his other gifts to reach the people, to uplift the consciousness of the people. The other great, who wasn't actually born on the same day as Muhammad Ali, but he was taken from us on that day, the 17th of January, is Patrice Lumumba, the first democratically elected Prime Minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo. Many people, when they talk about Africa, they will talk about the useless leaders and focus on the useless leaders. And it's often spoken without the context that there have been many great leaders that have been actually targeted and assassinated and exiled. Patrice Lumumba was one of them. If Patrice Lumumba was left without the interference of these colonial aggressive entities, then Congo and Africa, in fact, the outlook would be completely different to what it is today. In fact, our whole destinies, that's how important Patrice Lumumba was. Our whole destinies would be completely different today. And they knew that. That's why they attacked him. This is a quick fire podcast, so we're just going to encourage everyone to just look into each of these individuals. Martin Luther King and Muhammad Ali are much more well known than Patrice Lumumba, but Patrice Lumumba's legacy deserves to be alongside them, for what he stood for and for what he was about, for his ambitions, and for his bravery and courage, and being a true leader that he was, essentially.
So lastly, we just want to mention on the 17th of January in 1981, there was a severe fire that was a racist attack that took the lives of 13 young people, 14 included someone who later took his life due to the trauma of what he suffered. And we just want to pay homage to the families of those who were perished in the fire, and to our now ancestors, those young people that were killed unscrupulously. They were murdered due to the color of their skin. So we must always remember that, because 40 something years on, we still haven't had the justice of what happened that night. There's so much evidence that points to the fact that they were it was a racist attack, and that Molotov cocktail was thrown into that front room where it took a blaze really quickly and took their lives. But the corruption of this country has meant that case has still not been fully put to rest. And so we fight on by keeping that memory of those young people alive and keeping the fight going until justice is served. And we must come together as a community in unity with a one resounding voice to demand that case be brought to rest, with the truth revealed as to what actually happened.
Absolutely, Stella B. The New Cross Massacre. Brotherly Debandaka, we were hosting Auntie Jean's African Culture Market Sunday gone, and Brotherly Debandaka did a presentation on the New Cross Massacre, and he broke it down brilliantly in terms of what actually happened and the suspect involved in that, and the police's complicity in not allowing justice to happen. They did not do a proper investigation as expected. But just the one thing I want to say is that we know about the Birmingham, the 4 children, when we're talking about Martin Luther King, and how he basically used that situation or addressed that situation in such a powerful way that change had to happen in one way or another. Change had to happen as a result of that, led by Martin Luther King. With regards to the New Cross Massacre, which happened in the 80s, 1981, most of us don't even know about it. The awareness of it is crazy. Like, we do not know of it. And this is what this country does very, very well. Any sort of racist attacks is really submerged under the covers. The media doesn't cover it. It's not educated in schools. The awareness is just not there. So yeah, again, please do some research into the 13 and 14 dead, nothing said, the New Cross massacre, New Cross fire.
So yes, thank you very much for tuning into this quick fire episode of Out of Noise with your host Stella B
And that night.
We are asking that you like, share, and subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate your support, and we welcome you back frequently to tune into our frequency.
And if you really enjoyed, then please do buy us a coffee. It goes a long way to us elevating and raising up, you know. So like, comment, subscribe, and buy us a coffee.
The link is in the description below, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Make you no go do me strong thing in Kechi. Make you no go do me strong thing in Kechi.
She no be Child's Bunny, suppose waka with Ami. When she puts call, I don't box her like Ali. She tell me say she dey try.